Is Sweeney Todd a love story? I do think it can be considered one between Sweeney Todd and the wife he lost, but not between Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett. But Aaron Tveit and Sutton Foster would disagree with me. Hey, I'm Roxie with Roxie's Broadway Breakdown. Welcome back to my channel. So Aaron Tveit and Sutton Foster have taken over their roles of Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett in the Broadway revival, and they'll be playing their roles for the next few weeks. And I recently came across an article on playbill.com where they were breaking down their roles and how they were going to approach them. And they were saying they felt it was a love story between Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett. Now, this is one of my favorite shows, and I have seen numerous productions of this show, and I have never once come out of there feeling like, what a great love story between Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett. In the article, they did say it was a doomed love story, an ill-fated one, obviously, from the start. But to kind of break this down, they said that approaching the story, they did talk about it as a love story. And they felt that Mrs. Lovett was a kind of character that needed to be needed. Now, I'm not sure that's true. I think that she maybe has a crush, for lack of a better word, and maybe she has some romantic feelings for Sweeney, but I think there's also a selfish motive there. She's definitely getting something out of Sweeney that she needs, which is meat for her pie shop so she can keep it up and running. They also say that they felt that Sweeney needs to be seen, and I'm not sure that I agree with that, because if you take a look at his song Epiphany and the lyrics, he's saying that the world is a great big pit and the vermin in the world that inhabit it, and they all deserve to die. I'm skipping ahead of a few lyrics, but he's like, there's two kind of people, the people that are pushed down and the people that push them down, and people are just shitty and they just all deserve to die. And he's pretty indiscriminate on who he's going to kill now. He's like, anyone that comes across my chair, that's it. They're getting it. And I never get the feeling that he's, you know, asking for forgiveness or permission or, you know, do you agree with me, Mrs. Lovett? It's like, no, I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. That's pretty much it. So I never get the impression that he's like, are you with me on this? Do you see me for who I am? It's like, no, this is just how it is. And from that, Mrs. Lovett is, well, if you're going to do that, then you might as well let me put the meat to good use. And that kind of gives her her idea. When they sing their song together about, you know, how they're going to use the meat, he kind of enjoys himself. He's like, oh, well, you're a genius, Mrs. Lovett. I mean, there I kind of see where he's like, I've found a partner in crime. You know, he's like, okay, I'm going to do this. You're going to do that. And, you know, I have somebody to sort of enjoy this with me together. But I still don't feel that that's like a true bond or, you know, a love that's out of it. I just feel like it's a partnership, a business partnership at best. They do admit they're broken and very alone people. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I agree with that. But they say that they're yearning for human connection. And I agree with maybe Mrs. Lovett is sort of looking for some kind of human connection. But I think that Sweeney has come back to London with one sole purpose: revenge. Revenge on Judge Turpin for sending him away and taking away his wife and his daughter and making a mess of his life. And any humanity that Sweeney had is long gone. All he can see is revenge, and there's no more humanity in Sweeney. So he's not capable of having those feelings anymore. There's no hope for him. There's no more, I want a new life. I want a new beginning. Maybe I'll find somebody else. That's all gone from Sweeney. And I also see this with the foreshadowing of the song nothing's going to harm you that Toby sings to Mrs. Sweeney, because he's telling her demons are prowling everywhere. And she's like, oh no, hush, love, hush. You know, I've got Sweeney. Sweeney will never hurt me. But I think that's Sondheim's way of telling us, no, not even in the end will Mrs. Lovett be spared by Sweeney. And in the end, when Sweeney does find out that his wife was still alive, and by his own hand he killed her because of Mrs. Lovett's lies and not telling him that his wife was alive this whole time, he does not spare Mrs. Lovett. There's not even a second thought. I've never seen that register to Sweeney like, oh, I mean, I feel bad for Mrs. Lovett. I do have this connection, this bond, this friendship, whatever you want to call it, maybe some feelings ever. Nope. That never crosses his mind. He's like, I'm done with you. You've lied to me just like everybody else, you know, all these years, and I'm done with you. Waltz you right into that oven and you're done. So I've just never found that connection between them, that it's this, you know, dark love story of sorts. But who am I to say? You know, Tveit and Sutton Foster are veteran Broadway actors, Tony Award-winning actors. So if this is their interpretation, then so be it. Who am I to say? I'm just saying how I've always seen the show. I know there was a bit of backlash when they were cast, not for these reasons, but for other reasons. I have a video on that I'll link below. But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you see it as a love story of sorts between them? So anyway, don't forget to click and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next.